this is Jill for the Stamp Simply Ribbon Store, and today we are going to make some coffee tags, and these are made with the Java dies, so let's get started. Okay, so let me start with what we're using to make these tags. We have the Kaiser Craft Let It Snow paper, and I chose these three patterns, the silver stripe, the swirls, and the snowflake. And I've already pre-cut the Java cup from there, but I wanted to show you the paper. It's really beautiful. It's this aqua blue, and there's snowflakes and patterns and trees, and there's even some die cut shapes in this pack, plus ones that you can trim down and make multiple cards and sentiments. So that's really beautiful. So we have some paper. We have white and black cardstock. We have the Java dies, which I'm already pre-cut. I also have these dies to cut the sentiment, so you'll need those. And then I have the Wonder of Christmas sentiments for the tag sentiment. I also have some Paradise Aqua and White seam binding cut to about 18 inches. And then I have some gift bags and tissue paper from the craft store. So let's get started. I actually have two of these pre-cut. And all we're gonna do is gonna assemble because I've pretty much done all the work. So this is the sentiment, and it is silver embossed, so you can see that it's shiny. And I die cut it with this die. I embossed it, lined it up, and then you can see it's a little shorter, and then you have the ability to trim. So we have two of those, and then I cut multiple of the cups and the handles when I was die cutting, because if you have a standard die cutting machine like a Platinum or a Big Shot, you can cut 2 or 3, depending on your machine, pieces of designer paper at one time with the Java cup. All right, so I have this scallop die in my stash. If you don't have something like this, you can cut the paper to 3.5 by 4 3/4, and you can see I added some score lines here. So if you don't have a scallop die cut like I used in the sample, you can easily make this look professional with just some score lines on your scoring tool. All right, so we're ready to get started. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the base to the tag. So I'm just going to use some adhesive, and we're going to just line this up. The black is 3 3/4 by 5.5. And then this panel is a little bit smaller, of course, to layer. Now, since this is kind of a jumbo size tag, I left some room here at the top to make a hole. So I have my Crocodile here. I don't even think they make this anymore. I'm not even sure. A standard hole puncher will work, and you're just going to want to eyeball that right around the center, and you can punch 2 or 3 at a time when you're mass producing some tags. So for the Java cup, I like to use my liquid glue here. And what I do is I just take a little dot of glue. I'm going to slide those up a little bit on each of the handles and just put a little dot. That was kind of a big dot. Put a little dot on each handle, top and bottom. And then you can just go ahead and line this right up. And because it's liquid, you can wiggle it up or down a little bit. And then you press it into place and give it a few seconds to dry. Same thing with this one. And I'm gonna just put that right on there, press it down, and then give it a few seconds to dry. So for the sentiment, oh, and we're also gonna put the steam on the cups, same thing. This is cut out of mirror foil cardstock, and there'll be a link to all the products in the description of the video, as well as my blog post. So this way here, you'll be able to line your steam up with your cup and have it kind of centered. Now, if you like lots of steam, you can add multiples. And then we're gonna go ahead and just tape this on to the tag. So I like to line it up right. So I put it right on the stitching of this scallop so it looks a little bit anchored, and I'm gonna put it right on the score line of the plain one so it also looks anchored. And then you can see it has just enough space for the ribbon. This one's cutting it close, and I got a little glue on my table. All right, since this cup was so plain and I was going with the blue theme, I punched out one of these die cuts from the paper pack, and we're just gonna go ahead and put that right on the center of the cup to tie in the blue. And now we're just gonna go ahead and put this on. So I'm gonna grab my scissors here, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna trim this closer to the edge of the sentiment. And I just hand cut it. So you can line it right up with the edge of the white on the scored one. And if you'd like to, you can tape it down or use some foam squares. I'm gonna use some foam squares because I like a little bit of dimension on the project. And you can also pop up your cup if you wanted even more dimension. So now we have a simple tag with, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. I like to give coffee themed gifts. If the recipient has a Keurig, they get some K-cups. You can put a gift card in the bags with a coffee mug, lots of ideas to work with for the tag. Okay, so now we are pretty much done with the tag. You can write on the back to and from in a white gel pen, or you can white heat emboss to and from, or you can put a little white panel on the back and handwrite it. So at the craft store, I picked up some of these black and white bags. I believe these are from Hobby Lobby, but they have black and white polka dot bags at Michael's. So I'm sure your local craft store has black and white gift bags. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to tie them on the bags with some seam binding. So we're going to go ahead and tie, let's just tie the two we've made. Actually, let's just tie this one for the video, and then you'll be able to see what all three look like when they're done. You don't need to watch me tie ribbon 3 times. So I'm just going to pair them together like this. This is about 18 inches of seam binding, and I'm going to just put it right through the punched hole, and no one will notice if it's a little bit off. All right. So then what we're going to do is we're just going to tie this in a bow. So I'm going to go around the handle. And you can do this when it's the bag is open as well. It doesn't have to be flat. But pretty packaging always makes the holidays better. All right, so what we're going to do is just tie this in a bow, and loosely, because you want it to, so you don't want this knot here, this knot here to be super tight. You want to keep that loose. And then you're just going to make a bow with your fingers. This is just like you're tying shoes, nothing fancy here. But the seam binding is pretty flexible and it kind of wrinkles up nicely. So then you're just going to pull these apart like that and make it nice and fluffy. And then you can go ahead and trim the tails, or you can tuck them behind the tag or have them hang down. I actually like when they hang down, but since I tied my bow completely uneven, we'll trim them up to be about the same size. All right, so there you go. So there you have your holiday coffee tag with the Java die and the Wonder of Christmas sentiments. So one other thing is the tissue paper. I found this at the craft store today, and it is this ombre. It's from Michael's, and it is the perfect match for this paper. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I do my tissue paper. For these little bags, I only use one sheet, but I'm just going to pull one off here. And because this is a slightly darker, this ombre tissue paper works pretty cool for both of these cups. You can see they're a little bit different, so it pulls in both colors of this designer paper. But so I take my hand in the center and just make I guess like a cone. And then when you open up the bag like that, and then you just sit this right inside, like that. And then you have the perfect match, and your bow looks super fluffy, and your two-toned tissue paper matches. All right, thanks for joining me today.